Hello and welcome to the Skies of Harmony First Thoughts podcast. On this channel we talk everything Doctor Who, new, old and upcoming. And woo, we've just finished watching...
And we got videos out day after day.
I know, crazy! 2 in a day, I mean that's something for us at least, gotta say.
Yeah,
we just finished watching Revolution of the Daleks. I remember the name at that time.
Yes, well done.
Too many R names for Daleks. So yeah, I was excited going in, felt excited, this morning. Overall, my first initial coming out of it, I'm pretty happy with it. I thought it was a solid story. I thought it was a fresh Dalek story, which I think the issue with the Daleks is you can very much do the classic, they're trying to take over the Earth, exterminate all these humans and so on. And I think I'm happy that at least this felt like a fresh Dalek story. Out of the whole Doctor Who history, we haven't really had anything too close to this. The closest is Remembrance, really, of two factions of Daleks. But overall, I thought the Dalek story side of it was really, really strong. I like that it picked up just 300 minutes after Resolution of the Daleks. I thought that was really nicely tied in. Jack Robinson, actually, it felt at least somewhat earned, I guess. Because you kind of, in some ways, needed to have him so they knew who to track down to then so on. But before I go into my qualms, my early thoughts, my first thoughts, if you pardon the pun, what's your initial feelings? How do you feel coming out of it?
So it built up quite nicely. Granted, there was an awful lot of it, but the build-up itself and what they were leading towards was, I thought was generally pretty good. But once the Daleks invasion started, I felt like it was kind of half-baked. I'm not gonna lie, the episode sure, you have a few cool shots of Dalek on Dalek fighting, but felt like that issue was sorted very quickly, and then the other issue was then, dealt with Dalek shit was all kind of wrapped up almost too nicely. I know people died, but I guess in the context of Doctor Who, it felt like there wasn't a lot earned and wasn't a lot lost, I guess, in a way. It was building up to something quite dark and and something potentially quite emotionally effective that never happened. There wasn't enough, destruction. There wasn't enough, impact. You don't really get a sense of that, right? You kind of see a few people getting shot down by Daleks on the street, but that's kind of the extent to the carnage. And then they're dealt with. And then the other Daleks kind of meander and bicker at each other on the ship. And then they explode, and then that's it, and that's the episode. It's like
it was very wrapped up nicely in a bow.
Yeah, it was too clean, and there wasn't enough carnage and destruction. I guess because there was so much build up to it. Is the problem? It just felt like it was building up to something cool, building up, and then it happened. It just done.
It was
it just
a quick explosion.
Burst a balloon. You spent ages blowing up this balloon, and not even that was a very smooth process, because some of the air got out of it at certain points, but you made it. You bit this balloon and then it pops immediately. It kind of felt like
I think I would agree. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought finally we got some really good character moments with one-on-one with the Doctor and those characters. I felt like we got some really nice with the Doctor and Yaz. Those, to be honest, those are kind of a standout moments for me. Was the Doctor and Yaz's conversation, or slight bits like that. Ryan's and the Doctor's conversation was really, really good. And Jack and Yaz's conversation was also. I really enjoyed those moments.
My
one kind of thing which really that did not annoy me or bug me, but I was just slightly disappointed with how I didn't feel the weight of her being stuck in this prison for so long. I felt like they should have done a bit of a montage of the routine just a
I
montage
agree.
of her doing the lines, just so we could feel every single day that she was stuck in this
Yeah.
prison.
You
And
didn't feel the centuries at all.
you didn't, yeah. Oh, well, I think it was just decades, but
Decades, sorry. Decades, that's what I meant.
yeah, it
But
took, what was it? He said 19 years to get a cell next to hers. I did
yeah.
like
And
all the little cameos. I thought that was quite cute.
that was. I have to ask, how did Jack know to do this? Or how did he know the lone Cyberman? And how did he like
Well, I
what is
think
Jack's place in all this now?
Jack just, I think, goes around the universe doing whatever kind of thing. And I feel like, obviously, if a doctor got imprisoned, that would be kind of, because it's official police, so there'd be reports, there'd be so on, you know.
Although we don't see any of that. Like the police is up, like the whole system's automated, so we don't get like a sense of that.
Yeah,
You know,
but I mean, the
cold
doctor's on the
treatment.
run at least somewhat, so that's kind of cool.
I guess
That's an added element.
And yeah, the cameos were cool.
Yeah, we got, what did we get? So we got Weeping Angel, which had a nice little jump moment. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest, which is why it caught me off guard. I thought it was just going to be a still statue. So then when it did the jump, I was like, oh shit. We got a Pating. We got the Silence, which was cool. We got a Sigarax and an Ood. So that's at least for the close-up. So we're a couple others.
Yeah. There's this one big fuzzy green monster in the distance.
I mean, it's a moment to pause.
That's
look.
very distracting.
Yeah.
It's like a big cushion off in the distance.
Yeah, it will be a moment people pause and try and identify other.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
I was hoping, but yeah, I just felt like I didn't feel. It would have been fine if it ended at the point where it did in the story, because I guess they had to get the story going, and I get if you had them apart for so long, the companions can't really do much.
I was gonna bring that up. Actually, I kind of wish, rather than having it just be Jack come in and say, I kind of hope, and especially if there'd been a longer gap, I think it would have been a more satisfying payoff if actually Yaz had figured out how to use the TARDIS and Saber.
Yeah, I felt like Jack was going to meet the companions first, and then he'd know to save the Doctor that way round, rather than
because especially going off from the last series, like the Doctor made it a very apparent point of to point out in the haunting of the
Villa Diodati,
about the team structure and how she's on this pyramid above
summit,
everybody else.
Yeah,
so I think it would have been. And I think that's kind of what we're both talking about initially. Well, it would have been cool to have, like the companions actually figure out how to save us from this perilous, like distant situation. I mean, not that the second TARDIS doesn't have any impact on the story. It's kind of thrown in very much at the last minute, but it does do something. But yeah, I kind of had wished that all the work and obsession that Yaz had to finding the Doctor had, somewhat of a payoff. And I mean, that was an interesting concept in itself, of just how kind of obsessed she got over it. And I kind of wish they'd stuck that longer. I wish the Doctor's out of the story for far longer, and we just kind of worked on Yaz's obsession, because that's something that is brought up in like 2 scenes, and it's just like, and then it's mostly thrown away. I mean, she questions, her place, and about the Doctor, being with the Doctor and not being there, and he talks to Jack a bit about it, and those are nice scenes. But I kind of wish he'd gone further down the deep end on that.
It feels like it should have been
far more interesting.
A Doctor Light story, a Doctor Light episode. And I think this is the issue when you do cut the episode count down to 10. You kind of require to every episode to have the Doctor and to really push it. And in some ways, I prefer more episodes that's slightly cheaper, so you could have these character moments, because I'm currently rewatching the old series, and like, yes, some episodes were made on an absolute shoestring. The Lodger, for example, but it's perfectly good entertainment. Like, I wasn't getting bored through it at all, and there's so little special effects in that episode, like so little. But yeah, so I feel like there was some really good elements, but they just didn't quite fully get to like this, because they really set up the episode, the synopsis and everything that they gave. They were like, how do you stop a Dalek invasion without the Doctor? I thought that we were going to spend most of the episode apart, and then they'd come together at the end to really, bring the whole story. And sadly, that didn't happen. However, what we did get, I did enjoy as well. But I liked the the Daleks. I like that we kind of guessed it
It's not a
in
bad
from the
story.
trailer. There was some this is one thing which
And like I said, I felt. I'm sorry.
one thing that annoyed me
Okay.
was some editing choices in some scenes. So we went
Yeah,
from
I did notice that too.
we went from like Yaz to the lady introducing the drones outside Parliament, and then it cut to the Ryan and the Doctor's conversation. I'm pretty sure, or some like a heavy moment, and then it went back to the press conference. I was like, why are we? And like the music then started up again from a press conference, which was all like British and everything, and that was it. It really felt like whiplash. I was like, just do the whole scene of the. It feels like that choice was made in the edit rather than when it was written.
Yeah, I think you could chalk that down to pandemic issues, possibly.
They filmed this all before the
we're
pandemic.
we're here to judge the final product. We're not here to.
Yeah.
Like,
like it was odd. It felt really jerky. That like small section. It was like because it was like introducing the Jones, and then it was like Jack and Yaz getting attacked by the Dalek clone, mutants, and then back to like it was really just it felt weird, and like her weird "I won't surrender" lie before she got exterminated, the Prime Minister. I thought that was odd.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was like this is all. It's like she should have just carried on trying to like keep everyone calm, like no one's gonna get hurt, and then she gets exterminated. It's not like that, but it was really weird to have a suddenly "I won't surrender" come out of her. Like, what? It was just, to me, it was really. I was like, what the frick was that?
Also, we're back to fictional politicians, by the way.
Yes,
so,
yes, thank God.
Like a consistency in this franchise.
Like,
but yeah, I mean, actually, I guess that kind of ties into the politics of it. I know there's certainly going to be like a certain degree of Twitter that's like upset about this. I'm already seeing the tweets. I'm absolutely fine, with them tying it into the more modern, Black Lives Matter.
Well,
issues.
this was all written
and it
before.
Makes sense.
This was all written before it. That's what's insane. When I was watching this,
was it written before it?
Yeah, this was filmed and written all before this happened.
Yeah, actually,
way before.
You're right.
This was still written when Theresa May was Prime Minister, which is why it's a female Prime Minister. It's like she is like a Theresa May. So if anyone complains, they're idiots, because this was completely filmed. Way before any of this happened.
I didn't realize just how early.
And that's how crazy it is. When I was watching it, I was like, wow, Chibnall really did see forward on this. Like, like I was pretty impressed by that. Like, that was telling the future.
So that's aged well in that regard.
Yeah. Like, I bet Chibnall's feeling pretty fucking smug right now about how like well aged this went.
But again, that's gonna upset. Like,
yes,
there's gonna be see it.
So anyone watching this who's upset with that, this was written way before any of this mattered. You know, Black Lives Matter. The whole George Floyd situation. So it's not. It's like clearly it's topical because it's still freaking happened after this was filmed.
Indeed.
It shows a clear
and
issue.
I think that was a good use of it, right? And the way to it very much ties into Black Lives Matter, and they suppress it with like force, and the Daleks kind of standing in for the police in this regard.
It's like if you try and like silence people who want rights, you're basically a Dalek, and I really liked that comparison. I liked it. I thought the new designs looked all right. It made it makes sense. They were built from the one that built itself. They copied the design, and I'm glad that they got completely destroyed because I like the SLT Daleks.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that's one thing to take away. This whole thing about like, oh no, the new designs, and I'm still not too fond of them, although they were. I think they did the right decision, mostly cloaking them in like dark locations and such, so it didn't have like because it kind of works there. You kind of just see the silhouette, and I mean, like I still think the top half is still a bit too thin, but it doesn't really matter, I guess.
I
When it's in
think
the
this
darkness.
is a one and done kind of these Daleks.
And yeah, I think now that'd have to be, because they've been deemed impure and thoroughly destroyed.
Yeah.
So there's nothing left of them.
Exactly.
So that is all good.
Unless there's
Yeah.
like a Recon Dalek that they add in the future, but I would want it to be the bronze design, and it only looks this shape because it's a Recon Dalek. That's why it was that specific shape.
It's interesting that they did decide to stick with the same bronze design Daleks in the end, though.
I think they're perfect designs. I honestly,
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine, like, sticking with these designs pretty much for the rest of the time, to be honest.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind a change of color scheme, but the shape is perfect. Like, you can't like that is.
Well, for me, it's like, yeah, the shape's perfect. I really like the helmet decals and the various lines and such. It's not like an overdone like they've been doing with the Cybermen. It's like the perfect way of making it look more high tech and advanced than the old Daleks, while still keeping it classy and minimalistic enough. So for me, yeah, absolutely perfect. Dalek designs, and I am glad that they're gonna continue to stick with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought.
I guess the other thing about this episode, and you brought up how they, I still can't remember his name, Mr. Not Trump.
Jack Robertson. Yeah.
Jack Robertson. Yeah. I mean, I think there were probably too many scenes where it was just scenes just to show this guy's an arsehole, this guy's an arsehole, just over and over again. Just, hey, do you remember this guy's an arsehole, this guy's an arsehole? There seems to be like several scenes dedicated just to making that point.
I don't know.
I think particularly in the first half of the episode, like I said, I think the build-up generally worked, but a lot of those scenes in particular, I think, did like really. I was quite bored by like. A lot of the interaction between him and the Prime Minister, I felt was just kind of.
They could have been slightly
quicker. I was just
quicker.
Sitting there, and I was just like, man,
politics talk.
I'm not taking any of this in.
Yeah, they they went too much on the business and stock side. I think for the general audience.
He's an asshole businessman. He's like Trump. We get the point. We got it last time. We get it.
Yeah.
Move
on. I'm not gonna. Yeah. Every scene at least moved the story forward. However, I will agree. They went slightly just too much of the jargon for like an audience to care about stocks and shares. Just say it'll make you rich, and then he does a cheeky smile, and that was it. He did have one line that made me laugh out loud a lot, which was when Jack was like, "You're feeding them liquidized humans," and he was like, "This is a PR disaster." That one actually made me laugh out. It was just like so quietly said to himself. I really love that line. I really didn't like him in Arachnids, but actually in this story I liked him a lot more. It felt. One thing I'm liking is that he didn't kill Jack Robertson either. He can return again, and you know what? I kind of hope he does, because that's the one thing I really missed of the Russell T Davies era, which is, I've just finished watching it all, is these characters cropping up again and again. Ryan and Graham are still out there. They're going to show up with those psychic papers at some point. I would be very surprised if they don't show up, not next series, but maybe the series after. I think that Chibnall's hopefully crafting a bit of a universe of his own, and I would like that. I feel like that would be quite nice.
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can get to that. The way that Graham.
That's their like ship name.
Ryan and Graham.
Graham Grim Claire.
I mean, we're all expecting, something. I mean, this is part of the the pop, I guess, as I described it. Is that we were all expecting something to happen to them. Maybe Graham's cancer comes back, or maybe one of them will be killed, or there'll be some sort of dramatic end. And I mean, they did it well enough, but it was like pretty much any other companion leaving. So it was like, this isn't special. Like, this is just another companion leaving, just in the same way that every other companion's left. It's like,
does it in some ways though. I do wanna say though, like sometimes I get tired of it always being a dramatic departure. I mean, the last all companions during the Moffat era left dramatically. You know, Karen and Rory, Amy and Rory, they died multiple times, but they died officially. River Song, you know,
had
died.
A happy ending though.
They always did these happy endings, but they could never see the Doctor again, and like that really.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, I talked about this like at some point. They've never had the guts to do anything, you know, like Adric.
Moffat didn't.
Since Adric, basically, you know, it's like
Moffat didn't. Yeah.
It's got to be like, oh, you know, they may be sort of dead, but you know, she's traveling around the universe in this,
a puddle.
you know, blimmin', this diner, or she's not there, she's in the parallel universe, or you know, stuff like that. You can't actually kill anybody anymore, and it's like, you know, I mean, we were talking about this before. You know, at this point, that would be refreshing if they actually had the guts to do it. But time and time again, they've just shown, you know, just like, it's got to be nice for them. They got to be, you know, they got to have a nice sex.
The thing is I would say that they have killed the past, like, all Moffat companions did. I know they did the happy ending and they didn't do the full-on, you know, buzzkill. I'd say the most buzzkilly one really was Donna. That was the most buzzkill. Like, that one was actually sad because she has forgotten. That's not, you know, she gets to live, but she forgot everything.
Then she's got to live a happy life and got married. And,
yeah, I know, but like she forgot everything. You know that. You know she was the most special person. You know that one still hits. Like yes, they should kill, but in some ways, I'm happy we had a slightly different. I want to stay here. There's things I need to do. Home.
Yeah, granted. Yeah. It wasn't this big thing, I guess, but. At the same time, you know, and I think we're both talking about like, oh, you know, we're pretty sure Graham's gonna die. What way is it gonna be? It's just like,
I mean, I was half joking. I was expecting the cancer thing, but you know, I think I'm very sure that they are holding them back for they'll appear some point in the future in some random country like Fiji and the Yeti, or you know, something like that. Though I thought the Grace thing was really weird.
She is the sun.
she is the Teletubby sun.
Descended to become the sun.
Like, I just don't think it was needed. You know, I just.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, you know,
Grace is always there. Like it could have been done without even showing Grace, right?
Yeah, you just show the sun, like, you know. I did like how we met those characters is also how we left them on the bike. I thought that was good.
Well, I was gonna bring that up too because. On one hand, yeah, but on the other hand, it kind of gives a semblance of nothing. Well, I mean, they were talking about that a little bit in the episode, right? You know.
Yeah.
They were talking about how like nothing changes, and then like you know, and they made a big point about that, and then they go back and they're back on the bike.
Well, I feel like it's the perfect metaphor. He's got back on the bike. You know, he fell off, he ran away doing time and space stuff. And ignored his life. I think in some ways this would have been their perfect ending at the end of series 11. I feel like imagine if this had been you know, I feel that would have actually been the perfect arc, but sadly we had like a bit of a buffer before their arc actually finished. I felt like if this scene and they left at the end of that one series, that would have been their whole arc done.
I
or even at the end of Resolution, you know, I felt like that would have been nice. However, that's not what happened. But
yeah, it doesn't. After series 12, I think we've gone so far beyond that it's like feels really weird to go back to that now.
So I thought, I just want to touch. I thought the way that they defeated the Daleks with the fake TARDIS was cool. As soon as they chased her inside, I was like, "Oh my god, what the hell?" And that's why when like the twist happened, I was pretty impressed because I did not see that coming. I thought that was a very smart way of dealing with all those kind of Daleks that were left and not on the ship.
I mean, yeah.
I did feel like they should have maybe shown the Daleks returning to the ship after destroying all the reconnaissance ones.
I always think they didn't need to. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was a cool way of doing it. And,
Yeah.
I guess
Into the Void, I thought was a nice reference. They even name drop Rose because she's just the best companion ever. Everyone else gets forgotten.
Well, I mean, it was kind of essential for explaining Jack. So they had to bring her up
of Jack's inclusion. Then, what did you think of him?
But again, that kind of messes with the because we're talking about the canon.
Oh,
and that's canon now.
Not in
so that
this
is canon.
One. Not in this one. Okay, not in this story. We won't do this now. We won't do this in First Thoughts. But what did you think of Jack's inclusion?
He
was there.
He didn't really do a whole lot. Yeah, they built up Jack's inclusion so heavily. It's just but when you get down to it, he opened the door and he exploded a few things, and that was kind of the
he was a bit of an ace in this, wasn't he? I thought the characteristics were very more ace, wanting to blow stuff up all the time. But I did like your very first death. You never forget it. I thought it was quite a nice poem, like your first kiss.
Yeah.
I thought I thought he was written well. I think what's nice is Chibnall did write a lot of Torchwood, so he kind of knew how to write Jack. So it did feel like the same character. It didn't feel like any weird inheritance from someone else. Yeah, I thought it was.
How did you get chuckle out of the comment to Graham when he first?
Silver Fox, yeah.
The flirting with Graham.
Yeah, that was nice. I felt actually Graham was really sidelined in this story. I felt like he didn't do much at all, and that was a shame.
Him leaving. Although, it was kind of nice to have his confliction at the end. I may have pointed away they left in a way, but at the same time, having him be keen to continue, and then
then his grandson changes his mind.
Yeah.
It was good
because I think the whole thing with Graham is that he wants to, he kind of knows that to some extent his time is limited. So part of the reason for traveling with the Doctor was that so he could see, the universe and all that. So it's kind of a shame on him in a way, but I guess that's kind of why the conflicted. And it took a moment for him to kind of properly answer.
Yeah,
I guess. So in that way, it was nice. There wasn't, like I said, it just felt like this episode that had so much stakes and kind of a potentially very wide-reaching impact on everything was resolved very quickly with minimal impact that we mostly didn't get to see. So
I feel like we should have seen a few more showdowns between Daleks and Reconnaissance.
Ultimately, what changed? In terms of Earth, nothing changed. In terms of
that we know of yet. I'm hoping.
Yeah, if they were going to make a bigger impact on it, I think it would have been nice to have shown us more.
I don't know. I feel like at the end of A Stolen Earth, you don't get too much. They stock footage fireworks from New Year's, and that was about it. I feel like.
Well, sure, but it was.
Well, this is the issue. We don't have anyone.
We saw every planet get put because it wasn't. I mean, in terms of Stolen Earth journeys, then it wasn't just Earth being affected.
Well, there's lots of other
you had an entire massive planetary, multi-planet event here that got resolved and
I thought. I mean. I liked at least the extermination. I felt like we saw enough of them. I mean, there was at least, I think, 15 kills on screen, and they were pretty violent, in terms of...
Oh, yeah. It wasn't... I mean, it's not just about the actual, I guess, blood count inherently, I guess, in a way. It's just, how that... You didn't get to see... I think the most, we got to see a few people running away. We got one death on the screen, but we I think in the Russell T Davies did this a lot better, in a lot of ways. You saw everybody's you got to go around and see like a wide range of reactions to it, not just the people like in the middle of it, but like also people seeing this on TV, or people who are like seeing like distant explosions and destruction.
I mean, we
like,
got people.
You got a proper sense of like how this is impacting on the world around people, and why it's so necessary to deal with this issue now. In this story, they said there were thousands of Daleks. We didn't see. Well, we saw thousands of like. We saw an awful lot of the other Daleks when they come down, but like in terms of like the ones already on Earth, like we saw the Robinson Daleks. We kind of saw a handful of them, and
we
they
saw
killed
them at
like
the
a few
airport.
select people in a few select locations, but you kind of didn't get to see like the wider impact of that. You saw a few isolated cases rather than getting a good sense of how it's affecting the entire UK. How is you don't get that here as much as
I would disagree.
Other stories in the past.
What would you compare then? Like that did it better?
Well, as I mentioned, episodes like Bad Wolf and Doomsday, I think. Well, no,
Bad Wolf didn't show it.
Bad Wolf. Sorry, I was thinking more like, for example, Doomsday, where you got like a great sense of this impact all across, like basically. You saw that basically the entirety of London, but also like in terms of Cybermen, you got to see them planet wide, like affect everybody. You got a sense of everywhere where they were, and then like when we got down to nitty gritty of it, right? You got to see like Cybermen storming into people's homes, the army fighting them on the streets, and trying to stop them from doing it. And then when we got to the Daleks being released, you got to see like quite a wide range of the Cybermen being destroyed, but then all the people on the streets getting mowed down. And
I mean, we had
like,
the getting mowed down in the street in this episode, though. And this is just in the UK. Remember, cases. This was only in the UK. This wasn't worldwide.
I wasn't gonna say. So. I wasn't saying this needs to be like a worldwide thing. You don't get. Unlike that story, you don't need to see the worldwide implications of it. That's fine, but like I said, it felt. You didn't get the impact of this is a hot UK-wide issue, I suppose.
Yeah, they did keep it very much to... I don't know, they had a couple of locations, I know, outside like the Palace, I think, or Castle Windsor, I think. But I would say I wanted to see more Dalek versus Dalek. It
felt very small, and there wasn't very much Dalek versus Dalek.
Yeah, I think that was my one qualm. I thought Jodie was fantastic, though. I thought this was probably one of her best performances. She's getting better in the role. I think she was finally Series 11 was a bit like... She was good, but slightly shaky. I think they've just got a bit more of an idea with her, and I'm glad that she's not always talking to herself. Like, I think they got a good balance in this episode of the talking to herself.
I think it's less of her and more for me, like, the way they've adjusted her personality. I really don't think I entirely connected with the bubbly personality, to be honest. But as of now, Timeless Children, and now, like, I start to have problems with that story too. Like, they're going away from the bubbly personality more and more, and feeling, and the Doctor, I guess is getting a bit lower, a bit almost,
more conflicted.
Yeah, more conflicted, a bit, I wouldn't necessarily say darker necessarily, but a lot more grim, I guess. Yeah, not that I want like a grim Doctor, but like, she was so over the top in Series 11, and of course that's not her fault. That
the way
that was how she was written and the way she was directed and the way that Chibnall wanted her. But I am starting to like her more now that she's going away from that over the top, bubbly, excitable personality and becoming a bit more real, I guess is. And so I am enjoying that more, and her performances with it as a result of it. I am appreciating it far more than I was earlier on, definitely, I'd say.
Yeah. Also, we got John Bishop as something.
Yeah, probably...
Companion, I'm guessing.
Or probably the companion, yeah.
I don't know.
So that's a thing. I as a person I only know from name, I've never seen any of his stuff.
I think I've seen a couple of things, like... But yeah, it was a weird introduction. So introducing John Bishop as what? Like,
and it wasn't even part of the episode. Like, that was a disconnected thing.
Yeah,
right? Because they had like the they finished the episode.
I tried to
and they had that
rewatch
as a
it on
separate
iPlayer.
announcement.
Yeah, I tried to watch it on iPlayer, and it's not actually attached to the end of the episode. But yeah. Oof. Well, we'll see. I guess new series end of next year or this time. Next year.
Doesn't get
Bloody hell.
again.
It's only the 1st of January and it might not be till next year.
Yeah, well, we will see. I mean, we don't even know, right? Because for all we know, we don't know what's going to happen in the next year. Like, all this relief about 2020 being over. And I'm right there with you. Like, this was a bad year and I'm glad to have it behind us. But who knows what's going to happen next year? It's too early to start celebrating.
Yeah.
All of this could be gone tomorrow.
oh, Jesus. Okay.
No, I didn't mean in terms of the whole planet. I just meant I was talking
the whole
more
planet
about the relief. I was talking more about the relief. I mean, that's true too. We could be hit by meteors and the world could be over in the next year.
Oh, but then I won't see the new series of Doctor Who. I'm enjoying. I'm feeling like, at least with Chibnall, I'm feeling like there's like an improvement, and I'm glad that they're going with the Timeless Children thing. I prefer that they grab it with two hands and just go for it rather than kind of wimping out.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that the Doctor basically ignored her own advice.
Yeah.
So Martha's like, what's changed,
Nothing.
But the Doctor's back to being like, despite having like decades to think about it, it's still kind of caught up on it. And I am glad that there is actual, tangible character impact on it. I still don't like the revelations, and I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
But, again, if they are going to go with it, Yeah. I mean, that's a similar thing to how I thought about The Last Jedi in terms of Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of that and the way that it went, but, you look at
you don't want to
the original script for it, and that went
Skywalker.
with a lot of the things they went with there and expanded on it, and, actually, embrace, that side of it. Whereas the final Rise of Skywalker we got didn't.
Yeah.
And it was worse for it. So,
For sure.
I guess in terms of just getting good storytelling out of it, it's better that they just go with it and don't, pretend like it didn't happen. And I don't think Chibnall, you can say a lot of things about Chibnall. I don't think he's one to kind of back out. Not in the way, especially not in the way that Moffat did in a lot of his plot lines, I guess.
Yeah. I think he'll stay headstrong and take it to the end. I'm hoping for 2 more seasons of Jodie. I think that would be good to wrap up any of this storyline. Because I feel like with the reduced episode count for next season, I definitely want another season, like 2 seasons to really wrap up this whole Timeless Children thing. However, they did leave Torchwood open because Jack said he's going to stay on Earth for a bit, and he went and saw Gwen, which was cool. But you need to watch Torchwood to really get any, at least a bit more depth on where that's all going. But yeah, we're going to wrap it there because we're hitting like 40 minutes now. So I think that's enough for our first thoughts. But yeah, overall I'd say good. I'm happy. I was disappointed that they didn't make the weight of a prison thing as big as it was, but I'm happy with the story that we got. I felt it was a fresh Dalek story at least. They didn't rehash anything or just I know they did blow them up, but at least I like the TARDIS crunching. I thought it was that was cool. Inventive.
So the inside effects were kind of
it was weird.
Like the outside effects were cool, but the inside effects was just like you're bending a mirror.
Yeah. It's like just cut this bit of a frame and just add it down here.
Yeah.
And
it's a Castrovalva effect.
Yes.
The whole way.
I mean, it worked in the 80s. Don't fix what ain't broke.
I mean, it was so disliked apparently that they actually CG'd it out in one of the like as a bonus thing. I think in one of the releases, really? they actually changed that whole effect in CG. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, my overall thoughts. I didn't hate it by any means, but it was just like I mentioned. It was a lot of build up. And a lot of it was interesting. I did like how going for the whole cloning with the Daleks thing, and the concept of kind of having a more or less kind of a Dalek police force to enforce this kind of impure Daleks was cool. There was a lot of cool ideas in this, but it just kind of felt like there was too much build up and too little of the actual event itself. That was not they didn't spend their time to kind of actually show like kind of the, like I said, the impact on things, and also like you said, the actual Daleks fighting, there was minimum, right? We just got back to the Dalek ship and just like, we've destroyed them all. It's just like, okay, right,
Yeah.
I see.
It felt like it
I
needed
see.
enough for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, like a
think.
proper, worldwide Dalek on Dalek fight, which is something we haven't seen.
Well,
in a
UK
bit.
wide.
Well, since Into the Dalek, I suppose. But that was only one Dalek. This is
Yeah.
on a bigger scale.
Yeah, I feel like we should have maybe seen them in like London, just firing at each other. Just a couple of shots is all we needed, I think.
A cool action set piece with like Dalek on Dalek fighting. Like we needed
And
that.
humans
we
in the way.
get it.
Just like
There's an awful lot of
Remembrance.
build up to that. The two, it's like think of Remembrance. Like you have all that build up. You get to that point where like you have the Dalek on Daleks fighting, and you just cut back to the Emperor Dalek ship and just like, we've already dealt with them all.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They kind of did. They did the kind of. They should have a special weapons one come in. That would have been good.
And then we spend the rest of the episode with the Doctor getting the hand of Omega to the Dalek ship.
Yeah.
That's basically what this episode feels like. It's like Remembrance if most of Remembrance was cut out.
I feel like
all the cool bits of Remembrance.
Well, I feel like actually the Dalek on Dalek bit that was pretty small in Remembrance, but obviously for the time. I feel like this should have been the bigger version of Remembrance.
The thing about the Remembrance wasn't that there was so many scenes with it, but it was an ongoing thing. You cut back to various different moments where you'd have like a Dalek fight here and a Dalek fight there. And that was a constant throughout the multiple parts of Remembrance of the Daleks, which is what made it so cool. It was like there was this ongoing massive battle going on. And if that was the case here, that would have been cool if we just cut... If
just a couple times.
Set piece of the Daleks exterminating people, or like the Daleks exterminating Daleks, was spread throughout like a longer bit of an episode, that would have worked so much better in terms of hammering this impact. This is an ongoing, massive Dalek battle going on across the country, whereas what we've gotten here is just like dealt with. It's so lame. It's so lame.
I think I might just crop it to that. That's our first thought dealt with. Right, we're gonna stop there. We're gonna stop there. We can keep going. We can keep going.
Just a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, I still thought, I feel like in retrospective, because we'll know what we're watching, it'll be interesting when we come to review this eventually.
Yeah.
That I think in retrospective we won't mind as much. I think in our heads we were hoping for just something which maybe the budget just couldn't reach. But yeah,
maybe
comment below what you guys thought, because we're gonna keep going if we keep saying stuff because we just don't shut up.
Have an almost 2-hour video.
Yes. So yes, make sure you subscribe to our channel, because we're hopefully trying to get our podcast reviews of actual episodes going up again. Yeah. We recently just did End of Time Part 1 and Part 2, which you can find on our channel. So yes, click that subscribe, and you buy our non-existent merch, all those, yada yada yada. Sponsored by Loot Crate. There we go. Comment below what you thought of the episode.
Anymore, Nick.
Yeah, there we go. That's it.
Go your TARDIS and subscribe to Loot Crate in the past.
In the past, yes. So you can spend more time with the fam. Right. So there we go. Yay. Right. So thank you very much for listening to our first thoughts. We will see you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.